Hello, it's Deborah from the attic. If you're new here, welcome. Please come and have a wander around the playlist. They're for journal making, card making, Christmas because it's that time of year, or any of my short coffee break tutorials which are designed as brief escapes to inspire you. And of course, if you're returning, welcome back. What do I want in my journal? I thought I don't need complex trackers making me feel guilty when the gaps start to pile up through the year, but I do need to know birthdays. I do need to know public holidays, especially in France because I'm not familiar with the public holidays, and when they have a public holiday everything closes, so you need to know that stuff. I want to know special events, and I also wanted a couple of prompts for exercise and for using social media for my channel. And this coincided with my desire to return to drawing regularly. I mean, like every day. I just didn't seem to have time for that, and it was important, and I really wanted to do it, and I was frustrated that I wasn't making time for this. And then I thought, well, why don't I combine a journal, a very basic journal, with some artwork, with an art journal? So I have invested in a really beautiful Archer and Olive book. So let me show you. This is a box that it arrives in. I mean, it's just glorious. It is beautiful. And I think when you invest in something like this, you kind of take it more seriously because you think, well, I've bought this thing. I really want to make the best use out of it. I've written quite a long blog on my website about the decisions for using an Archer and Olive notebook and what I liked about that over my previous Rodier Gold book. So I'll provide a link below the video where you can go and find that. I also talk a little bit about what it's been like returning to the UK for winter from France. And so you can go and have a long read there, grab a cup of tea, put your feet up, have a read. So this is a book that I've committed to using for 2022. There's a couple of things I already like about it. I like the white pages, especially if you're doing colour work. It's nice to have white to work on rather than the cream pages of my Rodier book. Now, I will use this book up. There are a lot of blank pages in here, and this is going to make a really useful sketchbook for me. But the other thing I like is that it doesn't have numbers in the corner. Let me show you where I'm starting from before I show you my setup. So I have been doing a lot of drawing over the past few weeks. Every single morning I've made sure that I've been drawing. I've also captured a little postcard that I painted about 2 years ago, just as a reminder that I can do this stuff. It is possible. So I have been using Shayda Campbell a lot. Now, if you haven't heard of Shayda Campbell, she's got nearly 1 million subscribers. She's really inspirational. She breaks things down so you can do it too, and she does that with botanical artwork, and she does it with watercolours as well, and it's lovely. It's very, very accessible. So I do encourage you to go and visit her website, her YouTube channel, and I will provide a link to where you can find her below this video, along with 5 other artists that I have used, and they are Emma Jane Lefebvre, Shayda Campbell, Johanna Basford, Makoccino, and Creation Cee Cee. They are all inspirational YouTubers, and I'm very appreciative of everything that they share. So I started doing some winter foliage, and I also started dating my book, and one of the reasons that I've done this is because I want to see progress through the year. That's what I'm aiming for, is progress. And I also want to make a reference of the images I want to use in my own book, because I want my book just to have my own artwork in it. So I'm going to try and resist the urge to use stickers and washi tape, and I'm going to focus just on using my artwork. And each month I want to put in what I'm drawing, and then that will give me a context. So whatever is drawn in January will have a context. I will know when it was drawn, and maybe I'll remember why it was drawn. And this is a way for me to keep records of what I've done, and also use it as a reference point for when I want to do images throughout my book. And although I'm leaning very heavily on Shayda Campbell in these pages here, my idea is that once I've got the basics, and once I understand how to do this and how to draw these flowers, that eventually it will become part of my own style. Because as I move away from using these very fixed pictures and fixed images that I've copied absolutely directly exactly as is shown on her YouTube channel, I will develop my own style and use them in my own ways and in my own bouquets. So for example, this floral illustration here is directly from what Shayda Campbell did in one of her videos. This then is one that I did afterwards, which is my arrangement. And this is what I mean. You can begin by copying, but then once you've got the foundations of the flowers and the floral arrangements that you're trying to do, you can build on it and create your own. And I've done that quite a lot in my journal already. Then I went on to some spring flowers. These were really lovely to do, really enjoyable, really fun, and it shows that you absolutely can do it. And I also made a note of the Tombow pens that I have because I want to use these in my book. The paper is thick enough that I can use these and they won't bleed through. As you can see, there's no bleed through onto this page. And again, one of these will have been the original and one of them will then have been my variation. And one of the most useful things that I found going through Shayda Campbell's YouTube tutorials is that she shows you how to set out a composition on the page, or set out the flowers and where they're going to be already on the page before you really draw a flower, anything like it. She will show you how to do that, and I've found that absolutely invaluable. Then I've done a little bit of doodling on my own, and I came back to one of the most difficult things, I think, chrysanthemums. They were really tough. So that's where I've got to with my reference drawings, which I will lean on as I work my way through. And now I'm going to show you my setup for 2022. It is really, really simple. I don't need complicated things. I don't need really complicated layouts. I want to know what's happening in my year. So I have 2 pages here which cover my year. And it's split into 6 months, 3 months on each page. And I've added the year, and I've added some floral drawings. So again, this is me beginning to move away from the exact copying from Shayda Campbell and using what I've learned from her to create my own little collections of flowers. And as far as the year goes, all I've called out are birthdays, holidays and events. So anything that's going on, it's in here. And along the top, just for my own interest, I've captured full moon and new moon times. I always like to know that sort of stuff. And then I have a different floral arrangement here at the bottom of this page. And again, all of my information again for those 6 months. So this arrangement I'm really pleased with because it's one of the first big arrangements that I've done for myself using the skills that I've learned in tutorials on YouTube. And it was very satisfying to do this. And I spent maybe an hour or so putting this together. Then I came back to it and I spent a little bit of time shading and colouring using my Tombows. And it was a really joyful thing to do. And I find drawing and colouring quite meditative and I can get quite lost in it. And I thought if my journal can deliver moments or hours of that sort of mental downtime, then this actually will be quite valuable to me through the year. I've also included a quote from Voltaire, which I've always thought is really, really positive and optimistic. And it's J'ai décidé d'être heureux parce que c'est bon pour la santé. I decided to be happy because it's good for health. That's a great way to start the year, with that in your head. Over here is what I'm using to capture exercise and social media activity. I've added the months along the top twice for each of these topics, and I've added numbers down the side up to 31, so that will represent each day in the month, and that's it. And this is called I think it's called A Year in Pixels, and I love the idea of this. It's really simple. You don't have to repeat this every month because I didn't want to do repetitive numbering, repetitive calendars, etc., etc. So this is really simple for me. And for exercise, I've got a little table here that says W for walk, Y for yoga, and C for cycle. And I'll just add in those letters, because the other thing that I know I won't do is if I colour code this, I know I won't have those pens on me all the time. And I didn't want to commit myself to colours that I might not then have. So I decided to use a letter table, letter key rather than a colour key. And for my socials, Instagram is represented by I, YT is for YouTube, and FB is for Facebook. And maybe that will make me better about keeping you informed about what I'm doing. So that's it. That's my setup for the year. I've got everything that I need to know for the year coming up here, most importantly birthdays. I've done my illustrations, so I've made it look nice and inviting, and I like that. And I've got what I'm going to do for the year with my exercise and my social media. And that's it. So for the rest of the book, it's going to follow a real simple pattern, and I'll show you that when we get to January. So thank you very much for your time. As always, thank you for watching. I hope that if you've struggled with bullet journaling in the past, I hope something as simplistic as this might appeal to you as well. And of course, you don't need to use it as an art journal. You can use whatever images in here. You can use photographs. You can stick pieces out of magazines that mean something to you. You can do collage work. Whatever works for you. But for me, I'm going to have a very simple bullet journal which combines with my art journey journal. Until we meet again, stay safe and take care.